quick walkthrough of how this rapid tool works, just understanding the business a little more better. This tool or agent is specifically designed to help with RFIs, which is request for information from audit. And knowing about the team that it would be helping, it's more like a control center of excellence who's responsible for designing, implementing, and maintaining operational controls. There are multiple responsibilities of developing control frameworks, standardizing SOPs, and collaborating with multiple stakeholders. This is the team who will be using this rapid agent to respond to RFIs. Just looking at a couple of examples of what kind of controls they develop. One of them is Nostro Recon Control. This project manages the daily Nostro account breaks. Basically, when one bank opens an account into a different bank, the recon is something that is being taken care in this control. It includes automated detection and unmatched entries. Looking for a second project, this is called Manual General Control. This control governs submission and review of manual journal entries. It ensures proper authorization, review accountability, and approval handling. So these are the two controls that we are looking at, and this is all hypothetical scenario based on information that's available publicly in the web. Now let's look at the tool that how it works. So basically, we have a particular forum where this portal will help audit team to submit their RFIs. They'll give a title, description, and submit their RFI, and they will also have information of RFIs for which they have already received the responses from the controls team. While on the other hand, the rapid tool is specifically designed for the controls team along with their business stakeholders. They'll combinedly look at all the RFIs that are submitted by the audit team, and they'll generate a response using AI. And this response is grounded by the projects and the knowledge base that we have put in, which I'm going to show in a while. And once they generate a response, they can look at the response and then they can submit that back to audit. So I think that's the flow. Quickly looking at the knowledge base I talked about. So basically we are grounding this entire response not by the general information that is available for AI, but it is specific to this particular team. We are talking about controls taxonomy, glossaries, SOPs, RFI patterns, risk frameworks, and role mappings. Everything is already being provided to it as a knowledge base. Let's look at a couple of them. This is a controls taxonomy, and it talks about different types of controls. And let's look at an SOP. This is some level of details on how a control should be developed. Since it is an proof of concept, I've tried to keep it as simple as possible. And this is a generic information that is available. So for example, we can also look at, let's say, RFI patterns, historical patterns, how it look like, and things like that. Then the second information that it has majorly is from the projects itself. So we talked about the two projects, and all the artifacts of those projects will be saved in this artifacts folder. It'll have a code, certain emails, notes, a recon log, a requirement, test results, and so on. So let's look at a requirement. So it has a shorter requirement of how a control should be developed, code, a simple code of how Nostro recon should work. So all the artifacts are kept here, and general documentation is kept in the knowledge repository. Now if I just take an example and submit an RFI. So let me go here and let me pick an RFI, and I am now playing a role of a auditor. I'm just submitting an RFI to the controls team, and this RFI is about clarifying the ownership and escalation of journal entries. So this is related to this Second, project related to journal control. I'm just putting in there. I'm just selecting the project journal control and just say Amit, and then let's call it medium. Submit it. So now this RFI is in the queue for the controls team to solve for. Let's go back to this screen where oh, and then look at the manual journal. The RFI number 9 that is just submitted is come up here. So clarify the ownership, the description that we had put in, the name was now that's pending review, right? So once I see this, then I will just say generate response. The response is generated based on the knowledge base and the project artifacts that we already talked about. Let's quickly look at the response. It says it's in response to RFI 9 control ownership. It talks about who the control and how the, it also quotes specific artifacts in which these responses are being generated from. It talks about roles and responsibilities, entry log. It talks about the escalation process from the master SOP, and it concludes. And if you want to know more, you can also look at some of the context it has used from SOP, what information was used to generate this response can also be seen here. Once we review this, and let's say the controls team is satisfied with this and they can make edits, and if they don't want to make any edits, that's fine, then they submit the final response. So once this is submitted, this goes back to audit team now. So the audit team goes back here. We come to this. We finalized RFI responses. They select this project and they also select the new RFI that they had submitted. Then they look at the response that's been submitted. Whatever response that was submitted there, it is populating here, and they can review this response. And then it also talks about specific email, text, and everything. So there's they can actually look at specific artifacts to see whether this response holds good, and either they can accept or return for a revision. So let's say they accept this response. If I go back to the main screen again from the controls team point of view, if I go back to this, the RFI 9, now it was saying pending. I think now it should start showing it as response is accepted. Yeah, response is accepted. So I think through clicks of the button we can generate very quality RFI responses using the information that is available and through AI. I think this is a small demo how we can do. I think there are a lot of improvements that we can do to this, but there's a quick understanding of how we can generate response to this. So we can go through this some of these artifacts. This specifically calls about which email they are talking about, which requirement, which line, what section of SOP. I've done that for a few of the other ones. So we can quickly look at some of the other responses that we already generated. Let's look at the one which asked for a code details. I think there was one place where there was code implementation for Nostro. So I had already generated the response during my testing. It specifically talks about which code, which SOP, and it talks about the specific code criteria in which this response was drafted for. So this is one part. There was another one which talked about evidence for Nostro break. So there was again specific information in the project folder was used to generate these responses. Yeah, this is about rapid assistance response assistance for project issues and disclosures. My quick try to see whether we can automate some of the RFI responding. Thank you.